This video explains the prototypical inheritance in JavaScript. So let me explain with example how the object inherit properties and methods. I'm gonna create one simple array. Let a is equal to new array, and just I'm gonna put one number in that. Okay, so we have got array. Now a is object that we have created using the new operator. So every object in JavaScript has got hidden property. Okay, so if I do a or just print a and expand this one, you can see this is the hidden property called as prototype. So that's why in JavaScript we call it as a prototypical inheritance. Using this hidden property, JavaScript runtime knows what all methods or properties are available for this particular object A. And this is a hidden property, you can't access it, but JavaScript runtime can access it. So if you try to access any property on that one, so you can see on this object A there is no property at all. But if you try to access, you can see if you press dot, you will see lots of methods that you can access here. So where these methods are coming from, this is possible because of prototypical inheritance. So if you expand this one again, so you can see there is a hidden property called as prototype, and if you expand that one, you can see all these methods are there. So that is how JavaScript accesses these methods. So it looks like this hidden prototype of this particular object. So currently it is array 0, and this is again another object. Okay, array 0, it is a temporary object that JavaScript runtime creates. So object A is different, object array 0 is different. So object A looks at this prototype object, and then it finds, okay, there are a lot of methods, and if you try to access any of these methods, it is happy to call those methods. Okay, now this prototype object itself has got another hidden property called as prototype. So if you scroll down, you can see prototype object. So if you expand that one, there are more properties like has own properties, prototype of properties, enumerable, constructor, to local string, to string, value of. So these properties are also available for our object, and this particular object doesn't have prototype hidden property. You can see there is no hidden property called as prototype on this. So this is the final object from which all other objects are created. Okay, this is the end of the prototype chain, we can call it. So that's how the prototype chain is followed to find out if method or property is available on any object. So first of all, it will come here, it will look at this particular object's own property. If it doesn't have the own property means the property that you can put by pressing a dot and then xyz. You can add any property to the object, okay, in JavaScript. So that is called as own property, and right now for this array there is just one property 0 and its value is 1. So what happens is that it follows this prototype chain. It will come here, it will check if it has got the prototype. Yes, it has prototype, and then it will check all the methods that are there, and then it will match that particular property that you are trying to access. If it is not found here, it will go ahead and then check for the prototype of that particular object. So it will go up the chain, and this is the final object that is the end of the chain, because this doesn't have the hidden property prototype. You can see there is no hidden property called as prototype, and that's the end of chain. And that's when if it doesn't find the property over there as well, then it will say that undefined or some kind of error will come. So let us try to simulate this. So try to access some property x, y, z, whatever, and then you can see it is saying undefined. Or if you try to access a function method, so it is saying that it is not a function, type error. Because why this error is coming is because it followed the prototype chain, and all over the prototype chain nowhere it found this particular function, and that's why this error is coming. And if it doesn't find any property, it is saying undefined, because this particular property is not available on that particular object throughout this prototype chain. So that's how the prototypical inheritance works in JavaScript. All the objects follow this concept, and yeah, you can experiment with other types of object as well. So currently we have taken the arrays, but you can also check it with the numbers, strings, etc. Just one more thing that I want to tell you: for the primitives, this particular concept doesn't work. So if I say let a is equal to, or say n is equal to 10, so this is a primitive. This is n is not a, it's not an object, we can say. I mean, when you try to access the properties, it will still show you the properties and methods. So I will explain you why that happens. So if I just type n, so you can see it is not showing that hidden property called as prototype for this particular identifier n. So but if you try to press n dot, you can see lots of methods are there. So how is that possible? So this is possible because of one concept called as boxing. So what happens is that this particular variable n, it is a primitive variable, okay, or a primitive type, we can call it. You can say type of n, it is a number, okay, it is a primitive, it is not an object, it is stored on the stack, not on the heap. So type of n is a number, and what happens is that based upon this type, JavaScript will automatically convert this particular primitive to the number class. Okay, there is another class called as number, and that's the reason why we have got number class as well, which allows you to convert primitives into an object. So what happens is that behind the scene, this n will be converted into object, and that's how you can access these methods. So these methods are actually defined on the number. Okay, so if you look at the prototype of number, that's how you can look at the prototype of number. So you can see it has got 2 exponential, 2 fixed. These methods are available, and n can also access it because this n is actually getting converted into an object on the temporary basis with the concept called as boxing, and that's how it allows you to access all these methods. So that thing you need to remember. On the primitives directly you can't so in primitives also this prototypical chain is traversed, but the instance of operator doesn't work. So if you say n is instance of number, it will say false, because n was not created using new operator. Okay, but if you say a is instance of array, it is saying true. A is instance of object, it will say true, because instance of object, it is true, because it follows that prototypical inherit chain, and then it finds array in there, it finds object in there for in case of a. But in case of n, since it is a primitive, it doesn't follow that prototypical chain. Okay, prototypical chain. But if you want to access the methods, that is possible because of the concept called as boxing. I hope this video was useful. If it was, share with your friends. Also let me know if any questions or you are finding any difficulties in your project. I'll definitely try to help you. Thank you for watching this video.